Hello and welcome back to Bears Talk presented by J. Brown Realtors on this Thursday, October 26th episode. I'm joined alongside by the head football coach and Mike Jacobs after their 24-10 win over Newberry on Saturday. Coach, incredible start to the season. How much would you say the growth in the coaching staff and players have been this year?
Sure, I think they've done a tremendous job. Right, each week presents a kind of a new opportunity, and there's new challenges both schematically and with matchups on other teams. I think all three phases of our coaching staff have done a great job getting our kids prepared, and then really it falls on the kids to execute, and our guys have been tremendous. And I think really it all comes back to how well they've practiced day in and day out through the course of the season.
When you look back to the schedule since 2021, your team has won 10 straight road contests in SAC play, including last week's win against Newberry. What has been yours and your team's approach to road contests to make you feel prepared for those challenges?
I think the road's unique because it eliminates some of the distractions, right? Like we have a fantastic home game atmosphere here, but you're not dealing with family members and tickets, and there's a little less to worry about. You gotta just jump on the bus and go to play. I think we've done a good job spacing our day out. I think our strength staff's done a great job prepping the kids for day of travel as well as overnight, and our administration's given us the means to make sure that our guys are fed well and properly with proper nutrition and prepared to play each week. And I think then in turn, again, our kids go out and execute at a high level, and it's been really fun to watch.
In the Newberry game back on Saturday, it was a 10-10 score at halftime. It's the second time this season, on the road in particular, that your team has trailed or was tied at halftime, which is good to say for the whole course of the season, but you were able to pull off both games. What is it that you go into that halftime locker room with that comes out and your Bears have a really strong third quarter performance?
Well, we try to make the necessary adjustments, right? And Newberry's a really strong football team, right? They've won the conference back-to-back years, and they've always had tremendous athletes and a really talented defensive line. And credit to the staff for making some adjustments. I think we held them to 69 yards and no points in the second half. And defensively, we played really well. Had a big fourth down stop, couple big fourth down stops in there, and then offensively, really just continued to move the football and finish the game in my mind with an exclamation point. Right, we ran the ball down to go up 2 scores, and then we ran the clock out on almost a 9-minute drive that finished in the red zone with no score. We were able to take a knee with the victory formation.
Looking back at that game, your team gave up 178 rushing yards, but you said those halftime adjustments in the locker room were beneficial for your second half performance. But you take on a Wingate side that now has the second most rushing touchdowns in the conference with 16. What is your approach to stopping the run this week and making sure that Wingate doesn't get loose on the ground?
I mean, we place a huge emphasis weekly on, really it's part of who we are, is we want to control the line of scrimmage in all facets of the game. We made them a little bit one-dimensional last week at Newberry, where I think they only threw the ball for 40-something yards. So sometimes it happens that way. We've done a good job on the ground for the most part, making those yards really hard to come by. Quarterback got out for a few scrambles last week, but there's been a huge emphasis placed on it. We did not run the ball particularly well against Wingate last year. I thought they had a tremendous defense. They got a bunch of those guys back. So there's a huge emphasis on being able to control the line of scrimmage in all facets.
Taking a look at some of your players, starting with your quarterback position, there's not a more efficient passer in all of Division II football than Jalen Ferguson, right now at a 186 rating. He completed over 77% of his passes against Newberry. It's only been 5 starts for Ferguson, but how pleased have you been that Ferguson was able to come off the bench and become really a staple starter for your lineup?
Yeah, Jalen's done a great job for us, and we started to see the makings of it. I'd argue he probably had the best spring practice segment of any of our quarterbacks, and it carried over into camp. It wasn't that he wasn't doing enough, but we had Sean, who was the second leading passer in the conference, and had several games under his belt, and then Jalen just kept getting better and better and better to the point where when he did get his opportunities, he was moving the offense. And I think what you've seen is a guy who's been very decisive with his decision making, somebody who gets the ball out quick, who knows where to go with the football, and then he's had some guys make some plays for him. So, he's a bright kid that's done a great job leading our offense, and a big reason for our success and why we're at where we're at right now.
Another figure on that offense has been Diari Rogers. 3 receiving touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. He started off the year as well with 3 punt returns in the first 2 games as well. He's only a redshirt freshman, but this is his second season here at Lenoir-Rhyne. Seeing the jump of Rogers, how much has that meant? And were you really not surprised by the way that Rogers has really come out and performed, or did he have a really good spring and summer?
No, I think Diari's having an all-conference type season, or a freshman of the year type conference season for us, both in the return game and at wide receiver. We were able to redshirt him last year, and really, the redshirt rule changed at the Division II level just for this season. So now freshman athletes are allowed to play in up to 3 games and still maintain their redshirt year. Last year was not the case. The second they stepped across the threshold and somebody blew the play live, they had burnt their red shirt. So he was really probably ready to play for us week 7 or 8 last year, and we chose to withhold the red shirt and keep that for him. And he's a talented kid. He hurt us in practice. He did a great job on our scout team last year, and a lot of the things that folks are seeing on Saturdays we saw day in and day out in practice, and it's been a lot of fun. He's a great kid, man. He's got great energy, and he works extremely hard, and you're seeing it play out on Saturdays for him.
You mentioned a bit about the game last year against Wingate. Now you have an opportunity to go down to their place to take on the Bulldogs. How much would it mean for your team to come away with the victory in their place?
I mean, we've worked really hard, and our mantra's kind of been the 1-0, and each week we try to go out and make sure that we're put our kids in great positions and hope that they execute at a level that gives us an opportunity to win. We understand that Wingate's a rivalry game and has been a big game for us for a long time. They've done a tremendous job. They're coming off a deep playoff run. They got talented kids, and our guys are ready to go down there and play really well.
Lenoir-Rhyne takes on Wingate 2 p.m. on Saturday. You can catch the action on WHKY and Flow Sports as well. If the Bears win, they clinch a spot in the SAC championship game. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thanks, Andy.
Hello and welcome back to Bears Talk, presented by J. Brown Realtors. We are now joined alongside by the head women's soccer coach, Dean Ward. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's crazy that the regular season begins to wind down, but your squad remains undefeated on the year. How much would you say that is an accomplishment for your squad?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think in a very good conference as well, there's lots of quality teams that offer different styles of play and different ways of playing, and I think we've been able to perform consistently, and I think that's a tough challenge for any team to consistently come every day, every game, and perform is impressive. So I've been pleased so far, and we want to try and continue that.
As this regular season has gone on, Coach, it seems like you're gaining more trust in your younger players. We've seen more substitutions come on of freshmen like Alexis Cagno and Ali Ramsey. How would you say the first-year students have really proven this year?
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of gaining trust throughout the year. I think we know they're good players, and I think just figuring out college soccer as opposed to club and high school soccer is just different. And I think the adaptation to that, some people can slide into it really seamlessly, and others take a little bit more time to adapt to the speed of play and intensity of the game. So I don't think it's a case of trust. I think I trust all the players. We have a quality squad, so but that depth adds value, and I think being able to put players on and knowing they can contribute and what they can bring to add to the team is beneficial.
There's a lot of players that are on this team that really don't make a huge splash onto the stat sheet, and that really comes to your midfielders and your defenders like Kroll Busquets, Emerson Talley, Luis Berg. These players have such an impact. From a coaching perspective, how does this group really help out the team as well?
It's a very American thing to have the statistics of goals scored and assists, but there's so much more that goes on into the game that, as you say, there's some really impactful players, and if you watch the games, there's certain individuals that dictate the game. but they maybe don't get the plaudits for goals and assists and points, but they should. And you mentioned a few, and I think there's more as well that don't stand out from a stat sheet, but are integral. And whether it's doing some of the dirty work of managing transition and maintaining possession of the ball and second phases and some of the stuff that you don't notice, we notice it as a team, and I think the players themselves notice, everyone's role regardless of score sheet and who's scoring and assisting.
You like to take the philosophy of one match at a time, and I know that you have a big match against Lincoln Memorial here at home, but it's unbelievable that the regular season looks to be coming down to next Wednesday against Catawba, the #1 team in the nation. How exciting, and how do you think the schedule really helped you play out that maybe your toughest challenge will come on the last day of the regular season?
I think they're all tough, right? And I think, yes, obviously Catawba are a very good team, right? And we're a very good team. So for the neutral, I think that game is something to look forward to. I get it. But we are focused on LMU, and we have to perform in that game in order to get to a place where we're competing for a championship. So, yes, you're making fun of me here with knowing my answer, but it's true. Like we genuinely are just focused on LMU, and then we'll look at Catawba from there. But as we saw against Newberry, like everybody at this stage of the season is fighting for something, whether it's a championship or to host a quarterfinal or to get into the tournament. Everyone's fighting, and I think that makes games a lot harder, and the margins are a little bit smaller, and we've got to take care of business on Saturday.
You mentioned fighting for something. Obviously, with the end of the regular season, you guys are still in the hunt to get the #1 seed for the SAC tournament, but you've already clinched home pitch advantage for the quarterfinal round. How much do you think that is a boost for your team going into the SAC tournament?
Yeah, it's obviously nice, playing on our field in front of our fans, and being able to sleep in our own beds and things. It does make a difference, and I think for us to have another game at home, I think that's always a good thing. So yeah, it's a benefit for sure.
And speaking about another game at home, it's going to be the last regular season game at home against Lincoln Memorial on Saturday. But it's also senior night. I mean, this is a very experienced group. There are some impactful seniors on this roster. What does it mean as you prepare for your final regular season match as some of the most experienced and well-decorated LR women's soccer players have one last regular season game here at Moretz?
Yeah, and ultimately we want to honour that and honour them by putting a quality performance in, and each of our seniors contribute in many different ways, and they're a special group, so we want to make sure we extend their career here and see how long we can go with them.
And you mentioned Lincoln Memorial, 4 p.m. battle on Saturday against the Rail Splitters. This is a team that sits amongst the top 8 of the SAC, so no easy competition for your team on Saturday, but how do you guys look to come home, get all 3 points, and keep up for the chase for the top spot?
Yeah, again, we're focused on us of how we play, and obviously LMU are a good playing team, and they move the ball around nicely and play a good brand of soccer, in my opinion, and they've had a good season and they want to continue that. And I think for us it's making sure we do what we are good at and continue to develop our game. And in the last few games there's been some areas where we've not performed where we want to, and we want to make adjustments and improve and continue to improve each and every day. So we're looking to do that, and hopefully we can get out with a win.
Awesome, Coach. Looking to go 10-0 in SAC play on Saturday. It's going to be Lenoir-Rhyne, Lincoln Memorial, right here at the soccer field at the Moretz Sports Athletic Campus. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate it.
Hello and welcome back to Bears Talk, presented by J. Brown Realtors. We are now joined alongside by volleyball setter and Cindy Karjala. Cindy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
All right, it is your first year here at Lenoir-Rhyne, and you really have bursted onto the scene as the #1 setter. What did you describe your first year like here in Hickory?
It's definitely not what I thought coming in, but it's definitely been great. I've adjusted to the school really well, and I think the volleyball aspect of it has really helped. And the teammates, like when I step on the court, it's not like I'm just a freshman. It's like not senior or sophomore, like junior. Like it's like we're all one team, and I think that also translates off the court. Like if I have any questions, like I can go to them. I've built that trust and connection on and off the court with them, so that plays into like the whole like coming into Hickory as a freshman.
So at the start of the season, your team was operating a 6-2 for that opening weekend, but then there were some injuries that faced your squad, and you shifted to a 5-1, and then all of a sudden you were playing all the way around. How much of a curveball was that for you in only your second week as a Bear?
It was definitely very stressful, and I did have to take on a new role because originally, like you said, I was playing back row only, and I was very comfortable with that. I've ran 5-1s in the past, but just coming into like my first year in college, like getting that role, it was exciting but also stressful. I think so far, like I would have to give it to my team to like thank for helping me get used to that. And it's just like a big role I've played, and like the team has helped me because like I've built, like I was saying earlier, like that trust and connections there, so it makes me feel a lot more comfortable doing something that I wasn't doing like prior to like now.
Mm-hmm. And you just looked really comfortable and confident so far with 831 assists, you're second in the South Atlantic Conference. Are you at all shocked by the way you've come in here so comfortable?
No, because yes, like some people would say like I look comfortable, but sometimes I'm not. Like if I'm being 100% honest, like I'm stressed, but it's almost like you have to fake it till you make it. Like the other team is going to look for weaknesses on your side, and if you show that to them, like they're going to take advantage of that. So if you're like, I feel like if I'm not 100% confident, like I'm going to fake it until I really am that confident. And I think that's helped me get to where I am right now, because I would say now I am like getting to that level of confidence that I need to like keep going forward. And like I said, like that's thanks to my teammates, like the passers, like the hitters, like getting me all those assists, because like volleyball is not just like an individual thing. Like you have to have every part of it in order to succeed.
Yeah, and you mentioned every part of it. In Tuesday's match against Limestone, you were without 3-time SAC Offensive Player of the Week in Emily Allen, who was unfortunately out for an injury, but that opened the door for some other players to step up, included Dare Rodemaker, Leah Heisman as well. These are players that stepped up for your team. Does that really describe how much depth is on this roster?
Oh, I think the depth is like insane. Like you could put anybody in any position and they'll like do it to their best ability. Like Adair and Leah really stepped up. Like I felt comfortable playing with them. Like it wasn't like I'm like hoping they don't make a mistake. Like I was like, I know they're gonna hit that ball, I know they're gonna pass that ball. Like it's just like the trust on the team is like incredible, and like anybody who steps on the court, you know, like they're gonna play to their best ability, and like the team's gonna succeed.
And then we've also seen your team, very physical team when it comes to making sure the ball doesn't hit the floor. I know it's a general concept of volleyball, but your team is really good at doing that. You're third in all of Division II with total digs, eighth in the nation with digs per set. Is that something that Coach Behringer really prones in on practice that allows your team to play at that level of physicality?
I think Coach Behringer does like a great job of like implementing all this in practice, but it's also like our players on our team just have a sense of grit. Like we're just like gonna keep going. Like if the other team is just gonna have to find that spot on the floor, and it might not even get down, like we just go, and in practice, like it's honestly all going back to that trust thing. Like trust your player's gonna get that ball up and like make it a better play. And I think Coach does a great job of implementing all of that into practice, just by like the smallest of drills to like 6v6. Like it's just like a great like thing we have on our team, and like I think other teams get annoyed by that because we just keep playing.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have played so well. 13-1 start in conference play. It's the historic stretch. No LR team has ever done that in the SAC. Being a part of this group, how much do you think you guys can accomplish this year?
I think we can go very far this year. I mean, like you said, looking at our 13-1 in conference, like that's really good, and like I think we've just grown since that first game we ever played, and like I think we're just going to continue growing as a team, like going on. And I think we've been playing a lot better, and just like anybody, like even though we've had injuries and like stuff like that, but anybody can step on the court, and it's like it doesn't affect us. Like we will just keep doing our thing, like focus on our side of the court. doesn't matter who's on the other side, and we will find a way to like achieve our goals.
And in Tuesday's win, your team took a big step forward to getting to a top 4 seed in the SAC tournament. There's only 4 games left in the regular season, believe it or not. But seeing that your team looks like it's going to get to host a quarterfinal match, how do you feel about this team heading down the stretch of the regular season, going into that postseason stretch coming up?
Like I said, I'm very confident about what we can do, and like we have some like higher games coming up, but I don't think none of us are worried about them. Like we are very confident if we just focus on what we do, like we can accomplish really anything.
Awesome, Sydney. It's looking pretty great. Got a 2-game road trip coming up. You come back on home against Tusculum on Saturday, November 4th. Looking for that one for sure. And Sydney, thank you so much for joining us today on Bears Talk.
Thank you.